Today, I have someone on the show who has been around in the high stakes scene for many years, has been playing the highest buy-ins. Michael Soyza. I met him 2 years ago in Vienna, and I'm very grateful that he took his time today to join me, and he's sharing his story, how he became so successful, how poker has shaped him, what he has learned along the way, and what you should pay attention to become successful in poker. We talk about some pitfalls in poker. He's sharing his point of view on a proper goal setting, which I found very interesting. And we jumped right into that topic right at the beginning of the podcast. So if you really struggle finding goals or also pursuing your goals, and it might look very hard and difficult for you, or feels very hard and difficult, then you should definitely listen closely, because he is sharing some very good advice there. And yeah, just a very valuable episode. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and then let's jump right into it. All right, we are live today here on the podcast. Michael Soyza, who I personally met in Vienna. You traveled all the way from your home country, Malaysia. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think we were in Prague or
Oh,
Barcelona
you were
or
in
something.
Prague.
We went to Danny's house in Manchester for a couple of days, and we came to Vienna to meet you guys.
Share your concern when you came to Vienna to our event.
There was no concern. I think
You had a concern. I remember we were sitting in the hotel, and you were like, Ben, I was really thinking you're gonna wear a bag on your face the entire
Oh
weekend.
yeah. I was thinking like, okay, we fly all the way here to Vienna, and then Bencb is gonna show up, with some kind of gimmick, like with a bag on his head or like with a mask. Like, okay, that was a
Yeah,
waste of time. But thank goodness it was not not the case.
for those who have no idea what we were talking about back then, I was not present on social media yet, so I still wanted to do that event. So I kindly asked everyone not to take pictures and not to post them. And Mike, when everyone was supposed to introduce themselves, Micah said, Ben, I was really thinking you're gonna wear a bag or something and hiding the entire event. I was like, dude, how am I going to do this wearing a bag on my head the entire weekend? Yeah.
I mean, a mask, one of those.
Or a mask, yeah.
I don't know,
No.
something.
No.
Yeah.
But it was the first time then where I realized it's actually quite a lot of fun to work with people, engage in people, also not necessarily just my friends, meet new people. And that's where actually the event was the turning point where I decided, okay, I'm gonna also reveal myself. So you guys helped me to be more present on social media.
Nice. Yes, you're welcome.
What have you been up to lately? What are you doing?
Yeah, like the corona thing, right? So everybody's on lockdown pretty much.
Yeah.
Got back from Russia in March,
Yeah.
back in Malaysia. Just been chilling,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I've been exercising, trying to get fit.
You
I have
look
a lot of
sharp.
injuries. I mean, I lost like 17 kilos or something, from in like 3 months, 4 months. Too many injuries from snowboarding because I was too fat. So when you fall, there's a lot more impact. I broke
Oh,
my arm
really?
last year. Yeah, so like weight is a big concern for athletic sports, right? So
Mm.
I needed to lose some weight. So yeah, I've been doing that. I've been working on some business stuff. I invested in a new company, a new startup. Pretty interesting for me in my journey. Yeah. And learning more about business. Looking more towards investing, that kind of stuff. Trying to learn more about that kind of theory and like fundamentals and that kind of thing. Like basically learning a new game. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Also, I learned how to play Counter Strike. How it's meant to be played. I'm not very good, but that's been really fun as well with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So pretty much, yeah, that's it. Bit of poker. Yeah, that kind of thing.
So you said you're exercising a lot. Do you have a specific diet? It's a topic that everyone is interested about, and it seems to be working for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Besides-
just curious what kind of diet you are following at the moment.
So the thing is, like over the course of my life, I've been through many transformations per se. So I've always been on the heavier side. So even in high school and stuff, I used to weigh like maybe 95 kilos or something like this. And then in college, I started like exercising and stuff, and I lost 25 kilos in 3 months or something like this. And then I was like 70 kilos. And then I did this 6-pack challenge and I got a six pack. But that was very, very painful because you had to cook your own food. You eat chicken breast and vegetables every day, you know, that kind of thing, you know, tuna
Yeah.
and vegetables, and you cook 6 meals a day and you eat in intervals and all that stuff. And it's a pain in the ass basically, and it wasn't worth it. But I got a six pack, okay, and it was fine. And I
Yeah.
exercised 6 times a week, you know, and it was intense. But after that, you know, go back to your normal lifestyle, and poker came into the picture and all that stuff. And you know, fitness went down the shit. Okay, so basically, yeah, then put on weight again, and then broke my arm last year. You know,
Oh, yeah.
90 kilos. So like I basically fluctuated between 85 and 90 plus kilos for the past few years, right? And yeah, so I decided that, you know, it's time to make a change. And you know, like I've been learning more about stuff in general, right? And like one of your most important resources is your health.
Yeah.
So I think you know, before everything else, your health should come first, as best as you can manage. So I'm trying to make it kind of a priority for me,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not so easy.
Yeah.
But I also know like all these crash diets and all these you know, different kinds of paleo diet, keto diet, all this stuff is not for me because I tried them, right? And the
Mm.
moment you go off your diet, you can't sustain it for a long period of
Yeah.
time. You're gonna put it back on. So what I've come up for myself is like systems
Mm-hmm.
based on this. I met this marketing guy. He keeps on talking about systems, so now I'm influenced by him as well. And yeah, it's basically I created my own system for myself. So it's kind of like a fasting mixed with calorie restriction per se.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like intermittent fasting, and then I make sure like my calories. I don't make sure. I just like eyeball it and guesstimate, and make sure I don't like eat more than 2,000 calories per day, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I eat whatever I want. You know, in 2 meals a day, whatever I want. And I just stick to that. I don't drink any sugar. I
Mm-hmm.
don't drink much alcohol on a daily basis. Only when I'm out with my friends. And so far, it's been working. You know, intermittent fasting. Sometimes I do full day fast,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how I feel, and I exercise maybe once every twice every 3 days, maybe
Mm-hmm.
something along. You see this bike? There's a bike behind me. This
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. And the
so I
yoga
just
mat.
put the bike on, and then watch a podcast. You know, I watch some kind of something to learn something. You know, pretty much, or sometimes CS:GO. You know, I'm learning CS:GO. You know, so yeah, and then
That's
I cycle.
interesting.
You know,
Why
at
do
a
you? Why do?
moderate.
You, okay, sorry. Go ahead. Go
No, I
ahead.
was
Go ahead.
gonna say, and then another thing I realized is that I don't like suffering so much because I really pushed myself when I
Mm.
exercised last time. I used to like go to the limit every time, you know, that kind of thing. But now I'm old, you know, I want to relax, you know, so I don't want to suffer so much anymore. And then so I just do it to a point that I'm comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I just push myself till I feel like I want to stop and I'm tired, and I just keep going, and I don't try and like go like, you know, 110%. I just go
Yeah.
like 80, 90%. That's okay, you know, and just
Yeah.
relax. As long as I do it every day, or you know, every 2 days is fine, you know. Better than nothing. Yeah.
it's it's very interesting what you said, that you went, and you can apply that also for poker, for business and everything else, that you have a goal, so let's say a six pack, or you want to lose a certain amount of weight, and of course it comes with a lot of sacrifices, right? You need to exercise a lot, you need to free up time from somewhere else in order to have the time to do the exercises, to do the cooking, to buy all that stuff, to prepare it. So was it for you simply not worth to sacrifice so much to get a six pack, and you realized, okay, I'm going to take it a little slower, or because you said it was so painful?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Not worth it for me, you know, because fitness is important, I feel. But going to the extent of getting a six pack is a bit further than I would want to go, and I'm willing to go at this point in time,
Yeah.
right? Because it doesn't achieve any real purpose for me, you know.
Yeah.
It's just more like static kind of thing, you know, in
Yeah.
terms of of course you'll be really fit and lean, and I want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get to that point, but not so much about the six pack and that kind of stuff, you know. Just about more for snowboarding, you know. I just want to be fit for snowboarding so I don't get injured so much.
Yeah.
That kind of, you
So
know.
for you, it's
Yeah.
more about feeling good, feeling healthy, feeling energized, to be able
Yeah,
to
not for
focus. Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Do you
Just more of it.
do you think it also correlates sometimes with poker, where let's say people want to make money, so they say, I want to make X, Y, Z amount of money a year, a month, whatever, and but it comes with such a hustle, so they need to sacrifice so many things, and also they don't have the mental stability yet to go through all the downswings and the emotional pain and all the roller coaster, but they want it so badly, the money, that they keep going, but it's not really sustainable. Do you think
Yes. Yeah.
that is also something that, you know, happens in poker or even in other areas, but then people think they want that and they keep pushing themselves, but it's just not sustainable, and they might not be ready for it yet?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the thing is, I think you have to question yourself as to why you want that particular thing that you want. For example, you say you want to make a 500K a year, and I think you need to kind of like go back a few steps and reassess your core values and beliefs, and what you want in your
Yeah.
life. I mean, yeah, the big question of what is life, that kind of thing, what is the meaning of life. But I think you really need to reflect as an individual if you want your path to be as smooth as possible, right? Because if you can tie your thinking back to your core values and beliefs, it makes things very clear.
Yeah.
So, for example, for me, I want freedom. I want the ability to do things I like. Not just hustle for the sake of making money.
Mm.
Because that's not fun. That's how you get burnt out. And then setting a goal of 500K a year or whatever
Mm.
it is not going to be happy when I hit that goal because I'm going to have to suffer and
Yeah.
sacrifice along the way, and not for an end that I'm particularly interested in per
Yeah.
se. So yeah, I think that you know you gotta like decide what your goal is and why you decide that that's your goal before you even pursue the goal.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it properly and you don't reflect and you're gonna reach the end and you realize that okay, this is not what I wanted in the first place. So you basically just drove down the wrong road to the wrong place.
Mm.
It's a whole waste of time. Yeah, and I think if it's something that you really enjoy and you want and you're really clear as to why you want it, it's not going to be as suffering as you think. And even though you're still going to have sacrifice, at least you'll be slightly more enjoyable, perhaps.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I like that. Um, you were speaking about systems. Is it something that you have learned somewhere? You have read about? Tell me a
No,
little
I
bit
actually
more.
have not.
Tell me a little bit more about the systems that you have been implementing. Are you also not only doing it in fitness and health, also in poker and business?
Yeah, kind of. But the thing is, what I do instinctively actually has theoretical fundamentals. So, like, this marketing guy I met,
Mm.
his name is Aaron, right? And we did this marketing workshop with him because the company I invested in is a startup. It's called Snaptech, and they are going to make a next level water purifier, right, for drinking water and stuff like this. And we hired this guy as a consultant to
Mm-hmm.
come and help the marketing plan and set it up and the kind of stuff, right? So he keeps talking about systems, and how they systemize all these processes and how he structures his business as well, so that everything is kind of like automated to a certain extent, and
Mm-hmm.
that's very it's very efficient basically because everything has been documented and the steps are very clear, and the planning is very well done in advance, so that it's very smooth further down the line. So when you say systems, it's like just rules that you can implement
Mm-hmm.
and what you can do to make your life easier to achieve the goals that you want, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, for me, right, the thing is like a lot of it ties down to discipline in terms of a
Yeah.
personal system, right? Because the system only works if you can do what the system tells you to do. You get me? So, for example, if you say that you're addicted to sugar, right, and your system system says you can't eat sugar ever, or like you don't drink any sweet drinks, you have to be able to enforce that to implement this system, right? If you're unable to even control yourself and you keep taking the sugar, your system doesn't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, so my system is that whenever I wake up now, right, if I don't have an appointment or an engagement and nowhere to be, I will exercise before I do anything else, right?
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily before I do anything else, but before I eat or before I do anything material. You get what I mean? So
Yeah.
the thing is, it
Yeah.
ends
I
up with
understand.
a lot of procrastination in between.
Mm.
you know, I'll watch a YouTube video, I'll clear my chats, I'll check
Yeah.
my email, all that crap, because I don't want to exercise, because it sucks,
Mm.
and it's not that fun. But then the thing is, I won't allow myself to do anything concrete or material until I do it. So eventually I'm forced to exercise because I need to get something done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so this is an example of a system, or like even eating, like I when I wake up I count how many hours, like 16 hours I don't eat, right?
Yeah.
So and then I eat at a certain time. But I was telling my cousin, like he was asking me about this, and he was starting to do it also, and he says that he feels hungry and stuff, right? And then this is more about discipline or
Mm-hmm.
willpower per se lah. But I feel like it seems to be working for me. So what I do is I brainwash myself, right? So I've been doing this cold shower thing, right, since December last year.
Yeah.
Every single cold shower, no matter where I go, in the middle of winter, in Japan, in Prague, wherever, like in London, or I mean, where were we?
It's
Russia.
painful.
Yeah, everywhere. Cold shower, 3 a.m. in the morning, cold shower, maximum cold, no warm water at all the way, right?
Yeah.
So what I tell myself for this is that warm water does not exist. So in my world, warm water doesn't exist. So it's never a choice. There's never a conflict. There's never a question
Yeah.
if I could take a hot shower today, because there's just
Yeah.
no hot water. So for me, if I just say I can only eat past 12 p.m., food does not exist before 12 p.m.
Yeah.
Or anything with calories does not exist. So it's very easy for me. If I feel hungry, it's not even a question if I can eat because there's no food, right? So it just makes it very simple, and I don't feel conflicted or tempted in any way when I think of it this way. So
Yeah.
yeah, this seems to be working for me. In terms of systems now, I'm trying to like structure like an investment. What's the word for it? Manifest, not manifest. Like like the rules that you follow when you before you invest in a company or invest in
Mm.
things and all that kind of stuff, right? So like one of the things is like like the person you're gonna be working with or investing in is the most important person,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what the business model is and all that kind of stuff. And you must be able to trust this person
Mm-hmm.
and align with this person. If not, everything else is not even worth pursuing because you're
Yeah.
gonna argue and fight
Yeah.
further down the road. Pretty much, yeah. So like the things, this is just like one point in the whole array of things that make up a system, right?
Yeah.
But these are, make up these rules and your playbook pretty much, like what are the steps you follow, what are the rules you follow, and that kind of thing. And even in life, like the people that you hang around with, the people you talk to, in terms of how you manage your time, what are the rules that you follow when we have meetings, who you go and talk to, how much time we allocate, that kind of thing. And yeah, I'm slowly developing this thing as I go along. But
Yeah.
main point of all my systems is to do what makes me happy at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It
so I
also
tried to.
saves it also saves a lot of willpower, because when you have these rules in place, there's no contemplation whether am I going to do a workout in the morning, or I'm going to do it in the evening, or am I going to have this sugary drink or not. You have these rules and they say clearly, no, no, first thing first, you're going to have a workout, or for me it's my meditation, or you have your routines. And there is there's a reason why great people like Steve Jobs are wearing the same clothes over and over again, because they're smart, they understand how our brain works. And you get at some point throughout the day, especially when you're working on something that is might be very draining and you have to make a lot of decisions, simple decisions as what am I going to wear today, it will drain your willpower, right? But if you're going to wear the same clothes over and over again every day, you don't have to make a decision. So I know for myself that I'm not necessarily a morning bird. So when I get up and I want to go for a run, and especially runs in the morning, I'm not necessarily a big fan of. I like to do it more in the evening. I put my running clothes in front of my bed. You know, it's like I get up and I don't need to make a conscious decision. Okay, where are my running clothes? It's small things, but they add up. And especially in the morning, I personally, for myself, feel I don't have that much willpower yet. I'm getting much stronger more towards the evening. Things gonna be much easier for me, also work wise. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting that you talk about it, and I think some people, they always think that, oh, it's always gonna be so hard for the rest of my life doing that stuff, but it actually gets easier, and it also helps you to manage your willpower and save a lot of willpower throughout the day when you don't have to make those decisions, when you just have a playbook, as you mentioned it.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the running clothes, right?
Hmm.
Why do you think the bike is right here?
Yeah, there's
So
no escape
it's
from it.
there's no escape. It's just right there. I get out of bed. It's right there. I have no Basically, you minimize as many barriers as you can to doing what you're supposed to do, so that it makes it as seamless as possible. So you got no excuse.
Yeah,
That's what you try to do.
yeah.
Yeah,
You talked about
yeah.
system is actually also something that I for some of you guys who are watching are interested. We did a video where I was in at the MIT in Boston and in Harvard, and that is actually the same topic I talked about there. That um, you should not necessarily set goals, rather have a system, and then that system should be designed to reach your goals. But the thing is, all the goals we set, unless it's you want to play XYZ amount of hands per month. But I'm also seeing it more as a system. For me, a goal is more like, or a dream, to make XYZ amount of money, or being able to afford A, or travel to country B, or living the freedom lifestyle. Some people want to say, I want to be my own boss, I want to be able to make my own income with poker. But the problem is, it's not 100% in your control. There's still variance, right? But the system is always in your control. And I compare that with poker. When you play aces, your goal is not, oh, I want to win 100 big blinds in this hand. No, you actually set a system. The right open raise sizing, it's in your control. Right sizing on the flop. Folding on terrible board when you face action. Not losing so much money when the board is terrible and your opponent check raises you and triples you off. These are all the things that are in your control, and you make the best possible decisions. And then you see what's the outcome. Sometimes you win 20 big blinds, sometimes you lose 5 big blinds, sometimes you lose 100 big blinds. You simply can't control this. And I try to apply this also for my life, that I'm not so outcome dependent. I don't understand. Poker players are very good in not being so, or being outcome independent, but then sometimes in life, like, they're like the biggest results orientated donkeys I've ever seen.
I mean, it's a different world per se, the poker world and
Yeah, for
outside world. But I
sure.
think it translates very well. I mean, for me, I kind of apply everything in poker into my life as well. Like investment decisions. Like
Yeah,
I lost a lot of money in crypto. And I didn't
yeah,
even bet an eyelid because I really knew I just made the best decision I could at the time with the information that I had. There are things I could have done better,
yeah,
right? But all I gotta do is go and reassess my strategy, right? I just have
yeah,
to change my strategy. That's it. Whatever happened is happened, and it doesn't matter. Basically like systems playing poker is basically a system, right?
yeah,
You're basically developing a strategy slash system to make the most money or play as good as you can.
yeah,
And this strategy is not perfect. Of course, we don't have all perfect information, and we're not bots, right? So we have to keep on going back and changing up our strategy to see what works and what doesn't work, and experimenting and that kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
all,
and yeah, it can be applied to everything. Basically, it's
yeah,
all related. Yeah.
yeah. It's very great that you brought it up and that you have a similar approach. But I think, especially when as a poker player you also go into business or you do something else, you realize, wow, actually it has so many similarities. And I wish that um, more poker players that I actually think are very smart. I think it's a matter of experience. It's just, you just need to go through the process and realize you can just apply your knowledge from poker. When people ask me, Ben, what do you go with Raise Your Edge? Like, where do you want to be in 1 year? It's like, I have no clue. I focus on this month of, you know, having the meetings, being nice to my staff, producing XYZ amount of content, making sure that my equipment is alright. These are my goals, but this is my system. Then we see what happens, working on a new course, or and then I don't have a goal with the business. Like, also
Yes.
yesterday when I streamed, someone asked me, Ben, what's your end goal with poker? I'm like, I literally don't spend a single second thinking about it. Of course, I have wishes and dreams, all right? They are more personal, but I don't see them as goals because I know it's not in my control. That I have my yacht and private jet and 3 beach houses, that, or what most people's goals are. But again, like, this is not something I focus on. I dream about it. It would be nice. Not saying necessarily that is my goal or my dream, but in case that's your dream, it's just. But you can't decide whether this is going to happen or not. It's just waste of time and energy in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of debates that relate to this subject. So like I had a discussion, with these guys in the workshop, right? Because I was
Hmm.
talking to a friend, and then we were talking about how you set targets, right? So like some people, like big companies, set like a top-down approach to like setting targets and stuff. So example, this year we're gonna make 100 million, and then we find out how we're gonna do it, etc., 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 right? Whereas for me, I think that it should be from the ground up instead of from top down. So what I would say is that how much resources do we have? How can we best use the resources that we have? And what are the GTO steps we can make, pretty much, in terms of the business. And then
Yeah.
whatever output we get, whatever money we make, is as much as we could have made with whatever we had at the time, right?
Yeah.
So it's just about making the best decision you have with what you have right now, as compared to setting unattainable goal or unrealistic goal, and trying to find a way to meet that, with limited resources. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the truth is. I don't know what the answer is, but there's just two sides of the coin. One, some people set targets upfront, and like for me, I prefer like just looking at what I have, like what you said. What can I do today to help my business? You have the meetings. You be nice to your staff. You make a plan. You discuss things, and then whatever happens. You go with the flow, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's quite interesting that there's like opposing views on this kind of stuff.
For sure. For sure. I think maybe it's more a matter of perspective. I think it's totally okay to set a revenue goal or XYZ amount of sales, but I think you should be very much aware of that there's still a lot of variance involved. So even though if you have a very good months of sales, it might be due to the situation. So let's say you run an online business and there's coronavirus going on. Of course, you might have a big peak in sales because people are going to be more home. Let's say you're selling video games or whatever, right? And you clap on your shoulders like, hey, well done. But it was just because of the circumstances. and then the next month or the months after, when everything is back to rather normal, it drops again, and then you wonder what's going on. What are you doing wrong? You know, I feel like sometimes it's in poker, things are not going so well. It might not necessarily be your mistake, and then when it goes well, but it also might not be because you have an amazing job or your amazing ads or marketing strategy. Could be. So that's where you need to benchmark, you need to monitor, you need to really identify and not think results orientated.
Yeah, you need
And
to track your data to do analytics to make sure that this determine what caused what,
yeah,
that kind of thing. Be able
if
to track back.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're gonna say if something. I was gonna say like just basically what you said. You need to prove what prove your hypothesis, right? You
Yeah,
need to do it in a scientific way. You need to track the before and after and be able to tie it back and look. Like you
yeah,
said, you did X and Y marketing to boost your sales, your traffic for this period, but you need to be able to allocate how this marketing was in fact the one that drove your sales. Through analytics and data. That's what I feel.
yeah.
Yeah. You were saying?
I was saying basically the same, that if you are setting these kind of goals, that's why for me just having systems in place, this will eradicate this results orientated thinking. If you work in systems, if you have those systems in place, as you mentioned at the beginning, then you're not going to fall in love with your results and clap your own shoulder and tell yourself, oh, you're such a wise businessman. I'm always very critical with those numbers, and I think we're doing really well with that kind of approach, and yeah, you're not losing your ground under the feet. I think this is also Pat something mentioned as a poker player. You've probably experienced that as well. When things are going well, you're on a heater, start making more bluffs. That's where I get extremely critical. Have you
Yeah.
had this time in your life where things were going well and now you said, "Oh, I'm gonna run over you guys and I'm gonna take every
Yeah,
bluff"?
of course, for sure. I mean, I think anybody, any good poker player has probably had this, because they just feel like they're on top of the world. You're
Mm,
invincible. No one can beat you. You're gonna win every single event, and then you just get a bit out of line. Let's put it this way. You just get a bit out of line, but it's fine. It's fine. It's just you just need to reflect and identify and
yeah,
scale back a little bit. It's okay. It's we are human. We need to feel.
yeah,
Even though we act like robots most of the time. In poker
yeah,
you need to act like a
yeah,
robot, but you need to feel at the same time. Just because you're angry or emotional doesn't mean you make the wrong decision. You know what I mean? You can still be angry and make the right decision. This is where the robot and the heart tie in together. You know what I mean? You can still feel it, but you can still make the right decision
yeah.
at the end of it. One thing I want to share about just now, you're talking about this
Mm, sure.
systems, right? So I feel like I can tie it back to my personal life, for example. Like how you say like top down target setting and ground up decision making, right? The
Mm,
difference, right? So some people like I've observed get very disappointed when things don't come out the way they plan, or like they have certain goals, they want to have certain financial goals, that kind of stuff,
yeah,
and they're trying to hit those goals, right?
yeah,
And for example, in a corporate company, just say your boss gives you a target of 5 million, right?
yeah.
Random example, okay? And then once, just say the team has a good year due to coronavirus or whatever it is, and then they manage to sell a lot of online goods and made the
Mm,
5 million halfway through the year. The problem with setting a top-down goal is that they're going to relax for the other half of the year because they
yeah,
hit their target, right? Whereas I believe in the ground-up approach, whereby you just go at the pace you're comfortable with and make sure you're consistent and you follow your rules and your systems, and the output is irrelevant. So like you probably would have made 10 million, 50
yeah.
million because you went along your system and you're at your own pace, right? And the point is that
Excellent.
for me
Yeah,
personally, I believe that I just don't want to be lazy, even though I am, right? So one of my one of the things I try to do is not be lazy, and I try to like be productive and like to work hard and that kind of thing, even though sometimes we fail at it. But the point is that I'm just trying to move at a pace I'm comfortable with, without
mm,
making me unhappy. So I'm trying to push myself to do more and go further, and whatever the result is, I don't care, because as long as I meet my personal rule or my goals, and I do what I say I'm gonna do, it's okay. I'm
yeah,
okay if I don't succeed. But the point is that at least I tried. At least I tried my best. To do the things the way I wanted to do it. Whereas if I set a target, maybe right now I'll be retired already. Like to a certain extent, I wouldn't be doing anything. I'll be playing video games every day. If I set this kind of goal per se.
yeah,
Yeah. If you look at my goals when I started playing poker, all I wanted was like $7,000 to play 1-2. You know, that's all I want. That was my poker goal when I started playing. You know, so I should be done by now. You know, but I'm still
Yeah.
playing. You know, 'cause I
Mm.
enjoy it, and it's not because that's not because I set an end goal per se, but just
Yeah.
more like I know how I should behave, how I should conduct myself, and what are my values and what I stand for, that kind of thing, right? And I just live according to those rules, you know,
Yeah.
instead of going the other way around. Yeah.
Do you think sometimes, I don't know if this happened also to you, that people think too binary? So let's say they set a goal and they only achieved 90% and then they see it as, oh, I failed, instead of being happy that, let's say they want to have 10 study sessions a month and they only have 8, and like, oh my god, I suck shit.
Yes, exactly. I think it happens a lot to a lot of people. I think a lot of comparisons, like social media and all this stuff, make people compare their lives with other
Mm.
people. And even though their life is pretty damn great, right? They're still unsatisfied because people have a better life than them, in their opinion. You know what I mean? So sometimes, like you said, you're already scoring 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. This is bloody brilliant already. It's really good. But just because some other guy got 100, or you set a unrealistic goal of 100, you are disappointed. In your
Yeah.
in your apparent success, actually. But yeah, I guess it's about perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw yesterday a video, and this actually made me also realize, you talked about social media and the impact it has what you see. And so many people complain about, yeah, but social media, and you see all the perfect lives and the luxurious things, and it makes them feel miserable. But then I tell you, well, you decide what you follow. You decide what algorithm um, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is showing, or how the algorithm works. So just unfollow all the shit. I saw yesterday a video where there was a kid, 12 years, and the teacher gave him glasses where he was able to see colors for the first time in his life. He could only see black and white. And it was such a joy, like, I was
Pow-
close to tears.
yeah. Sounds like a very
And
powerful video.
yeah, and this kid, like, first super happy, was excited, like colors, and then 5 seconds later it breaks out. He breaks out in tears. And this just made me realize that, because I also used to be like this, especially when Facebook and Instagram came out. I was like, follow all the cat videos and top models and like these lean guys. But listen, like, this gonna make you feel shit, because they have been working for this for 10 years, and you think I should also be like this, subconsciously. um, and this makes you feel miserable. Even me, and I would say I'm actually in a great place, and I feel actually quite happy for most part of my life. um, so I stopped. I unfollowed all the shit that doesn't bring any value to me. Also, friends, like, just, of course I still have some fun stuff, but most of this stuff actually makes me think about life, or makes me grateful. These kind of small and if you see that, if you spend time on that, whether it's seeing it or thinking about it, having grateful exercise in the morning, writing down things you're grateful in your life, you can't be bothered by social media and all these fake lives and filters and all that shit, and champagne bottles and parties and YOLO, and it's of course, if you see that 24/7, then you get affected by it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but I guess the people who get affected have to do a bit of self-reflection, in my opinion. Because, like I said, if you once again, if you tie back to your core values and beliefs, right, and
Yeah.
what you find, what you want in your life, you realize that all this happiness and satisfaction comes from within, right, and not from external factors, because it comes from inside of you, and what and how you feel and your perception on things. So, if it's like, for example, if I were to see a video of the guy the most famous guy on Instagram, right, Dan Bilzerian, right,
Hmm.
do I feel jealous of him? Not really, because I don't know if I told you about this guy, Naval Ravikant, right? Before, he's like a philosopher, angel
Hmm.
investor, blah blah blah. One of these guys, he
Okay.
talks about philosophy and stuff like this. And then one of the points he made was that, if you see your idols on Instagram, or wherever it is, Bill Gates, Dan
Hmm.
Bilzerian, Mark Zuckerberg, whoever it is, right? Would you actually want to swap lives with them? And when you say swap lives, you swap 100% of your life with them. That means everything that they are doing now, you have to do in their place. And it includes all the suffering, the sleepless
Hmm.
nights, the long hours, every single thing. Would you want to swap your life with him? And if the
Yeah.
answer is yes, then you need to make a plan to achieve what the guys achieve, because you know that you really want it. But for me, I cannot think of anybody I want to swap my life with, to be honest with you, because I'm happy carrying on at my own slow pace, just relaxing, chilling, at this point in my life, because I know what I want, and I know
Yeah.
what makes me happy. So I guess you really need to reflect internally and see what makes you happy before you decide. And like if you know what you want, seeing all these things on Instagram and social media is not going to affect you because you're clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even if you reflect and you still follow all that bullshit, I always say it's like as if you were an alcoholic and you're addicted to alcohol and you try, let's say, to reflect and get rid of it, and you're trying to do that while being in a bar.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's not
And
going to work out, so you need to get rid of that shit. I mean, if you reflect and you journal and you might write down your whys and your goals, and then the next thing you do is you go on Instagram and again you see all the perfect lives, or on YouTube. And I think technology is a great thing. Like, just you can also follow so many great influencers and personalities and characters that actually create great content that might be very beneficial for your purpose or for your journey, that you can learn from, that you can get inspired from, that you can grow this gratefulness within. But of course, if the majority you're following are producing cat videos and parties and models, and it's gonna fuck up your perception, right?
yeah, you're right. I guess if that's not where the direction you're heading in, you should stay away.
Yeah, it's okay to sometimes have fun, like I also love watching cat videos, but it shouldn't be 80% of your feed.
I mean, if that really makes you happy, by all means, go ahead and watch all the cat videos you want, but you need to be sure that that's what makes you happy and that's what you want, it's fine.
Yeah.
Then don't complain that, you don't have enough money, or,
Yeah.
you're not successful in a career because you spend your time, watching cat
Yeah.
videos. But if
Yeah.
you like that and that's what you want in life, sure,
Yeah.
by all means, go ahead,
Yeah.
Uh,
I had
so,
a
yeah.
hmm?
No, that's it, yeah.
I had I don't know, I don't remember the name of the YouTuber or the book. He said that actually the people you want to look up to, you shouldn't actually be, let's say we are where we are right now, we want to build a business. You shouldn't look up to Bill Gates. You shouldn't actually listen to him at all. You should listen to the people that are 1 or 2 steps ahead. That's the people you want to learn from. Because also you need to understand that Bill Gates built his business 20 years ago. And a lot of the principles don't apply. You want to learn from people that are very firm with social media ads, social media marketing, copywriting, team building. And it's a different time, Of course, you get inspired from them. And I'm not saying you don't follow them. It's going to be toxic and detrimental. But you need to be aware that a lot of the things that made them successful might not apply anymore. They're so far away from you, right? So look for those who maybe just started a business, already quite successful, made their first steps, made their first profits, and these are the people you want to look up to and learn from. And learn from their mistakes. And then once you're there, then maybe the ones that generate 500,000 turnover a year instead of 200,000, and then step by step learn from the people and surround yourself with them. At least this has also really helped me, and I could really relate to this piece of advice.
Yeah, I agree. So like this guy Naval that I just now, I feel like he's one of the guys that are one step ahead, like you mentioned, in terms of thinking and mentality, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of him. Yeah, he's a pretty interesting guy. But I agree with you. You need to adapt, change, pivot, according to the times. You're gonna get left behind. Yeah, many case studies like Nokia, BlackBerry, etc., that failed because they refused to change. Blockbuster, like all these companies. Yeah, but I think everybody's quite aware. Dynamic. You need to be keep moving. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about what I just was bringing up a couple of minutes ago, when you play poker and you are in that phase where things are just going so good, and you start slacking, maybe not studying that much, maybe you take a few more bluffs you're not supposed to, you feel a little bit invincible. Do you have some precise moments where you, maybe a live tournament, maybe a hand, maybe a vivid moment that you remember that you can share with us, how you felt, like what kind of moment was it?
Okay, let me think for a second, okay?
Take your time. We can cut it out if it takes too long.
Sure.
I mean,
I don't know about a specific time, but I know, like, at one point where you think you're better than everyone else, right? You feel like you deserve to win. and you feel entitled, like,
Yeah.
I'm the best player, hence I should win, and then when you get bad beat or you lose, you get frustrated, and you feel angry or annoyed, I feel like I felt this before for sure,
Mm.
especially when like recreational players make stupid plays and they get rewarded and they
Yeah.
win and they beat, right? And it's just that it comes with mental maturity, I guess. As time goes by, you're affected less and less, but definitely, in the beginning for sure, if you're just up and coming, you're crushing everyone, and then uh yeah, you just don't win. You don't win because you got unlucky or like that kind of thing, and it just gets to you and gets frustrating sometimes. I guess that's more of it for me. I don't think there's a specific one whereby I got out of line. I just can't remember. I don't remember these things.
No, that's
Uh,
cool. That's cool. Don't worry.
yeah, I do recall, like, I've gotten a bit angry or frustrated, I guess,
How
when
do you?
I lose,
Uh,
for stupid reason, like a bad beat by some recreational guy or whatever it is, and I feel I deserve to win, because I'm the best,
mm.
that kind of thing, in those fields anyway, but yeah, that I used to play. Yeah.
How did you? How did you recognize that you? I guess in this moment you're just frustrated, you're angry, but then later on, how did you manage to realize, okay, Michael, chill the fuck down. You're not entitled to win everything, and you realize that this, not this winning, but this overconfidence is slipping in, and this ego is telling you, you're winning. You might not study that much. Like, how did you realize? Was it just something that naturally popped up, or were you proactively working on that? How did it work out for you?
I think because I follow a lot of this philosophy or like like mindset kind of
Mm.
stuff, and try and educate myself on this topic a little bit, and reflect and assess my own thoughts and emotions, and like the Naval guy says that he looks at himself in a third person perspective, and he runs his mind in debug mode. So he
In what mode?
he debug, like when you program, you debug, you're
Ah, so
checking for
like
errors.
detach or
Yeah, so basically
disconnect?
debug to check every single thought that goes through your mind and
Okay.
objectively
Okay, I
assess
see.
what motivate you to think this way, why do you say this or why
Mm.
do you think this, and to go back to the core and question why this thought popped up, in a very objective manner,
Yeah.
as a third party, not as a part of yourself. So like you said, detach, and you zoom out and you look at your thoughts and actions this way, and then it kind of makes it clear that you shouldn't feel this way,
Mm.
and then it's just rational or logical for me, when I zoom out and think of it, like, you already knew that, this variance involved, right? When
Yeah.
you started playing the game, you're better than him. You know that it doesn't mean that you're gonna win today. Poker takes no prisoners. There's no favorites. So why do you feel like you deserve to win?
Yeah.
That's very logical, right? So obviously, then it's like, yeah, that's true. So why do I feel bad? You know what I mean? Then you just kind of stop feeling bad because it doesn't make sense. Like you just kind of program your brain this way, and then brainwash yourself to a certain extent. And that's what I think I brainwash myself a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you would say that if you spend a lot of time learning about yourself, that it comes handy that in those moments that you will recognize certain traits that are not necessarily very very beneficial,
Mhm.
that you're not
Yes.
necessarily sitting down and trying to figure out what's going on. It's rather part of the process that if you just try to grow in that regard, in terms of the mindset and educating yourself more about what's going on internally, that then you will also recognize certain patterns within when it comes to that moment.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah. So also, like, once again, systems.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it comes. Yeah, yeah,
home visit. I mean,
yeah,
all this is like in retrospect, like it's not like I planned all of this before when I was
yeah.
playing and stuff. It's stuff that I realized as I, went down this journey and where I am now. I'm looking
Mm,
back, I can see that yes, if you know that one of the main principles of poker is not to be results oriented, why are you angry when you lose or get bad beat?
yeah,
Why are you tilted? Like if you really knew this was the case, right? So you
yeah,
should by now you should really know and be accepting of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
So when I
know,
when I explain to myself this way, it just seems so clear, and then all these emotions just dissipate because it's just logical, right?
it's great to see that because you have people like you, and this is not supposed to be discriminating that I now separate people and certain people are better. Um, but people that have achieved certain success like you, and they have built certain habits, routines, systems, however you want to call it, and they work for them. And then you have some people that are also trying, but it comes with such an enormous effort. They try to build routines, and it just such a pain for them, even though those routines are supposed to help them in their journey to reach the success they desire. But then they give up, they quit after certain weeks. And I'm always wondering, why does it work for certain people and why does it not for certain? Why do they give up? Why do they quit? Do you think it's because they're not aware what they want and why doing it in the first place, or do you think there is something else?
Okay, before I proceed to answer this question, let me debunk this myth, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not good at routines. I don't have amazing self-discipline.
But
I
listen,
lack
you're better than listen. Okay,
Yeah.
then let's put it this way.
No, because
You're at
let me
least
elaborate why I say so, okay?
yeah,
My sleep discipline is complete trash.
mine as well.
No, you have no idea, bro. I stay awake for like, one day and then I sleep for like 20 hours and then stay awake for like 1.5 days.
Okay,
it's just completely
that's a little worse than mine. Yeah.
it's really, really extreme. Like my time
Yeah.
just cycles, like, cause I stay up later and later every day, and then I sleep long. I sleep like 12 hours, 14 hours. It's better now. The point is that when I have things to do, right, appointments, meetings, I won't miss a meeting generally. Like I won't be late, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when you're free and easy, right, as a poker player, right, for example, right, you have no engagements, no what you call it, appointments and stuff like this. You're just gonna be completely free, So no one is gonna stop me. There's no consequence for me sleeping late. So my sleep discipline is really, really bad. So this is one thing that I'm trying to work on, but it just helps to keep busy. When I'm busy, I can wake up, no problem. I can sleep like 6 hours, wake up, no problem. But when I'm free and easy, I read my storybooks, I watch videos, I watch shows until God knows what time, and then I sleep at random time, then I play poker at random time, and everything's all messed up, pretty much. Yeah. So in terms of this, everybody has to work on something, but I make loose and general rules, which I know that I can follow because I know I don't like routines. So yeah. So I'm not really a routine guy also per se, but I have the willpower, I have the discipline, If I feel like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it, because that's what I believe in and what I stand for. So when going back to your question, why does it work for some people and why does it not work for some people? I think the first thing is that first you have to be very sure of what you want. You must be very clear in your mind that this is what you strive to achieve. When you're clear, there's no conflict in your mind,
Yeah.
So then and realize you really want it. And the second thing is you have to be ready to sacrifice to meet this goal, And then the third thing is you need to brainwash yourself, to guilt trip yourself
Okay.
into thinking, how can I call myself a man if I don't say what I'm gonna do, that kind of thing, Am I a man or am I a pussy? Why can't I take this cold shower at 3 a.m. in Japan? I know it's cold, but it's just cold. It's not gonna kill me. And I said I'm gonna take a cold shower. Why can't I do it now? That's what I do to myself. Punish myself and guilt trip myself because I said I'm gonna do it. I know I want to do it. I know it's good for me, but it's just this little bit more willpower to seal the deal and make it happen. And you really need to be sure why you're doing it and what is motivation to do it. Only then can you really proceed and push yourself to go the extra step to get it done. I guess the thing is a lot of people are not sure what they want, because there's a lot of distractions, in the world nowadays. There's so many options, there's so many opportunities, so many ways to make money. Everybody's being pulled in a certain direction, all at the same time, You're bombarded by social media, bombarded by marketing, bombarded by digital media. So many things are playing in our minds, that is just confusing and distracting at the same time.
Yeah.
So I feel like you need to really be, sure and have a clear direction on where you want to go before you can even pursue it at 100%. That kind of thing.
Right, because you mentioned, okay, your sleep sucks and you don't like routines, but I always say, if you want to become successful in something, okay, health is above everything, right? You work out, you do sports, I guess you eat healthy, at least you look healthy, and you get enough sleep. Even though it's a fucked up routine, but I think that a lot of people that are trapped in the 9 to 5, they don't get enough sleep. Like, they have a hard time falling asleep, so much pressure, so many worries in their head, and they might have the same routine, but they don't sleep enough, and then they get burned out. So I prefer having a fucked up sleep cycle and maybe being awake for 20 hours or 24 hours and then sleeping for 12 hours, but on average you probably get enough sleep. It's not ideal by any means, and I'm not advising that. Then I guess you have very healthy relationships, at least from what I've seen in Vienna. You have a great network of poker friends that you can support each other. You're working, or at least you're grinding when things are normal or back to normal. You have been traveling a lot, playing poker, right? This is your main thing. As a poker player, you're supposed to play poker. You have great poker friends, and from what I've seen in Vienna, you guys, that was also one of the reasons why each of you got so successful in what you're doing. I always say that I could see myself from back then with our Team Gatsby Campino with Fedor. Like, you're basically the Asian Team Gatsby Campino, you know?
Yeah,
and each of you got very successful. So, man, okay, you're not necessarily a big fan of routines, but I'm pretty sure that you do better than most of the poker players, and that's sufficient. You don't need to be perfect, you know? In each of these areas, friends and relationships, health, fitness, sleep, spirituality, let's say if you measure it on a scale from 0 to 10, you want, like, if you're a 6 or 7 in each of those areas, you're doing great, you know? Okay, in sleep you might have a 4, but fitness you clearly have a 9, and poker friends and network relationships you probably have a 9 to 10, right? You need to decide that for yourself. But I think, you know, I'm not trying to strive for perfectionism in each of these areas. I just try to be decent in each of those, and then it's gonna work out for you. So don't be too hard on yourself, man.
Yeah, I agree. But you know, like it's kind of like I'm trying to, you know, be better tomorrow than I am today. You know, let's put it this way. You know, so baby steps, and I understand it. That's why I'm, you know, still trying to fix the sleep cycle and all this kind of stuff. But you know, it's difficult. You know,
Yeah.
because in nature, you know, like if you just say, you know, online poker in the US or European time, right? It's just completely opposite timing. You know,
I
so
know.
it's very difficult, especially if you have like other commitments in the day. You know, it just messes everything up for you. You know, so
Yeah,
you play on
sure.
Sunday, on Saturday, and then on Monday you reset, and then Tuesday you have meetings or whatever it is, and you have people to see and things to do, and everything gets messed up, and you repeat the cycle in the weekend. You know, it's just not ideal. You know,
Yeah.
but it's better to have like periods whereby you just focus on one thing and sleep in the opposite time. You know,
Yeah.
and then live that way. But you know, there's just too many things going on for me right now, and it's just a bit hectic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's a big part of happiness that I can choose my problems. Right? Isn't that great? Okay, you choose to have poor sleep, or let's say not say poor sleep, but a fucked up sleep cycle. Right? You could have a
Yes.
normal job, you could have a regular sleep, but then it comes with your freedom. You can't sleep
Yes.
as long as you want. So this is when where every poker player that gets miserable or feels miserable, be about being lonely, etc., and yada yada. And to be honest, there's so many opportunities to network and make friends in the poker industry, and don't come up with the excuse of being shy. You get to choose your own problems, and whatever you do, whether it's having your own business, whether it's being a travel vlogger. I've met YouTube vloggers that have a huge channel. I don't want to have their problems, and everyone's saying, I want to be a vlogger, I want to be a pro gamer. You have no clue how hard that business is. No clue.
Exactly.
And we are now in
Yeah.
esports for quite some time, and all these dream jobs that people think of, it's hard as fuck, and you don't make so much money as you think, or it's extremely difficult.
100% agree. Poker players don't know how hard it is to earn money, man. Like they're just too
Yeah.
spoiled, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm lucky I work a real job before I start playing poker, because I appreciate, you know, money more, you know, to a certain extent. And then you know, I know how hard you gotta grind it out, you know, in a normal job to make money. And like this past 2 weeks, right? Because I was doing these workshops for the marketing and branding thing for my new company, new investment, right? And I had to go to the office, or you know, the workshop place at like 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, until evening, or you know, even at night. And it's just hell of a grind, man. Like, you know, I was like, man, this is hard,
Yeah.
man. Like, I forgot how difficult this is. Every day you gotta wake
Yeah.
up at the same time, you gotta be on time, and then you end at the same time. And then by the end of the day, your brain is just fried and you have no more energy, you know, even just to exercise, you know, or like to do other stuff, you know. It's just tough, you know, like it's really difficult, and it
Yeah.
makes me appreciate having this free lifestyle even more, you know, like yeah.
For me, when I went to school, I hated it getting up in the morning. So now when I don't feel so well about playing poker, and I'm tired of all these downswings, and then, you know, people being negative and toxic, I just, dude, just appreciate what you have. You have your own freedom. You can sleep as long as you want. And then it also completely changes my mood. Not
Yeah, life,
100%. I'm not running around like, oh, everything is, you know, rainbow, but
yeah, it's just a bit of gratefulness, right? You need to show gratitude, you know, like, you know, be happy for what you have and where you are, you know, because
yeah.
you're in a very comfortable position. You have a roof over your head, you have food to eat, you can, you know, uh enjoy a lot of comforts in life, and a lot of poor people don't have any of this, and sometimes
Yeah.
we all forget, myself
Yeah, for
included.
sure.
So I try to remind myself,
Yeah.
life is pretty good no matter how hard it is right now.
Yeah.
It's still much better than a lot of people in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So don't
100%.
complain and stop being a pussy, and just get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess it's like, yeah, you just have to realize that you're lucky, to be able to do this for a living.
Let's talk a little bit about what I mentioned earlier about your group with Danny Tang. For everyone who's listening and watching, I also had a podcast with Danny, with Victor, with Pete. I met you guys in Vienna. You came all the way to Vienna. You were grinding in Prague, you said, or Barcelona.
Yeah, one of the live events I can
Yeah.
remember. We were all together. Yeah.
And your buddies, where did you meet? How important was it to be in that group for your journey as a poker player?
We kind of actually started off separately, because in Asia the circle is pretty small. So Danny was like playing in the UK and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Pete was always playing the Asian events way before I
Pete, by
started
the way,
here.
I need to jump in. Is the
Yeah.
sickest grinder I've met. He's the kind of guy, he grinds WSOP, there's dinner break, and he plays a sit and go in the dinner break. It's
Yes.
insane. This guy is fucking nuts.
He's a machine. He's like basically the Asian Isaac Haxton, Isaac Haxton plays everything as well, like non-stop. But Pete is just the next level, like Pete is, I don't know, man. Like I have no words for him, Even right now, he's just like grinding all day, every day. He's hustling, man. He's just putting the volume in non-stop. He just loves it,
Yeah.
And him. Yeah. So Pete has been grinding for years. Like even before I started playing like live poker and all live tournaments and stuff, he was already in the scene, right?
Yeah.
And I remember in Australia, how I met Pete. Actually, we didn't meet officially, but what happened was we were playing this satellite for the Aussie Millions main event, right? And I was on his immediate right, and it was like bubble time. And every time it hits my small blind, I just ship on him, right? Because it's like stone bubble,
Yeah.
massive ICM prep. We have like 5 big blinds each, whatever, average stack. And then it just kept shoving every orbit, right? And when it hits me, and then finally it hit me, and I went all in, and he's like, huh! And he snap calls with queens, I was like, shit. And that was my first experience meeting Pete, because he busted me in this satellite. And then later down the line, when I started playing more live events, right? And we got to know each other better, and we became friends. And then Danny moved back to Hong Kong, and he started playing the live circuit as well, and we became friends. And then I tried to bluff him. I overbet the turn with a gut shot or something like this, and he called with like middle pair, top kicker, king jack on an ace jack something board, right? And on the river, I was looking at him like, this Chinese fish, probably shouldn't bluff here. And I checked, he checked back. Yeah. That was like a first experience with each other as well. And it's quite funny because we both knew a mutual friend called Kitty Ko.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we connected after that, yeah, that kind of thing. And Victor, I've known Victor for a long time. He used to like back me when I was like working in the bank, and I used to play some tournaments because I couldn't put enough volume in, right? So yeah, he used to take me for some live events and stuff like this. And yeah, good poker friend. Yeah, Victor, like how I got to know him was also quite interesting. We were playing like some cash game, home game, and he 4 or 5 bet all in with ace queen suited, and I had aces in a cash game for like 100 bigs or 150 bigs, something like that. I was like, huh, this guy has balls. Interesting. Because no one else at the time was doing anything like this,
Yeah.
Everybody was just like nut peddling, and that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, this guy, okay,
Yeah.
pretty cool. I like your style, that kind of thing. Even though you lost, but I like your cojones,
Yeah. And then you
So,
started
yeah,
traveling. You started traveling
Yeah,
together.
so then like on the Asian circuit, we just made friends. Like basically, like it kind of filter to the top. It's like the top players always hang out with the top players in a certain community because they respect each other and they can learn from each other, and they appreciate their feedback. Not to say that they look down on others. It's just that the amount of input and synergy there is just higher. You know what I mean? And you're more aligned. You have similar mentality. You get along better, that kind of thing. So yeah, we became friends. We just hang out. We talk poker at all the Asian stops, and then when we started going to the further stops, like in the West and stuff, we start traveling together.
Yeah.
We just get along well. And then yeah, I stayed with Pete in Rosverdorf for like a month or something like this, and we just grinded every day. He was a good roommate. It's same schedule. We wake up, we play, and then eat and sleep pretty much. So it's yeah. He's like one of the most low maintenance guys you ever meet. He just feed. We asked him like, could you eat steak every day for a year? He's like, yeah, sure, why not? It's food. He has no like, none of these lifestyle habits. Like he just very, very efficient, straight to the point, that kind of thing,
And I
Yeah, it's
guess it
good.
also keeps you on track and keeps you accountable because you see, okay, he's grinding today, and when you have days where you don't necessarily feel well, then you're also gonna show up.
Yes, yes. But the thing is, I actually grind very hard also when I set the target. Just that I'm very clear as to when I feel like grinding and when I don't feel like grinding. So when
Yeah,
I don't feel like grinding, I'm just not gonna grind,
yeah.
because no point. But when I go for a series, I grind pretty hard as well
No, I
because
mean,
I'm there to play.
not necessarily health wise not feeling well, but sometimes you have this lazy voice, or maybe you should take a day off, and then it's like, okay, Peter's gonna grind, the other's gonna grind, so let's get our shit together and show up there as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pete
That's
definitely makes you look bad.
yeah,
Let's put it this way. Puts us all to shame, Pete is like,
yeah,
yeah. But the thing is, Pete is so extreme. Everybody just discounts him. Like, yeah, he's a machine. He can do whatever he wants. He's not one of us.
yeah,
He's in his planet, in his own world. He has his own standards. The Pete
yeah,
standard. No one can meet the standards. It's fine. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
how's it study wise? Have you been talking a lot about hands? Have you been learning a lot from each other?
Back then we used to discuss quite a lot. Nowadays, not so much. To be honest, I've been very lazy with studying. I
Yeah,
know I should study more, but it's just not my interest right now. So it's I'm fine with that. I'm fine with not putting poker first at this point because I'm learning a new game. Like
yeah,
which is invest, or, what business, whatever it is.
yeah,
And yeah, I just don't feel the passion to study at this point. But yeah, at that back then we used to discuss hands all the time.
yeah.
Used to look at materials. To be honest with you, up to this day, I still haven't finished your course. It's in the
It's a
to-do
lot,
list.
I know.
Yeah, it's in the to-do list. But yeah, one day I will finish it. Yeah, bits and pieces. Recently, I was doing like some hand reviews with my friends, my close friends, right? So there,
Mm.
some of them are starting to play. My girlfriend as well, and he made a final table and is really happy, right? So I said, let's do a hand review
Yeah,
session, and we did this for like 2 weeks in a row, like a couple of hours each week, and it was quite interesting because I thought, right, to be honest with you, that I'm not good enough to teach because I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time. You know what I mean? But if you look at a more beginner kind of level, right? Turns out I I always assume that everybody knows what's going on in the market and that information flows freely, right? There's so much free content. You're making free content on YouTube. There's so much opportunity to learn. But I guess people who are new still need advice. And it seems like the hand review session helped them a lot. So I was a bit surprised as to how well it went per se. I mean, I was just sharing my thoughts on hands and stuff, right? And people don't beginners don't really see that yet, I guess. So I guess yeah, that was something that changed in my mind. I thought I couldn't teach because I didn't know that much, or I wasn't that good. I just do random shit.
yeah,
But I guess I have enough experience when I explain things. It kind of makes sense, I guess. I don't know, something along those lines.
yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly helps. I remember we had sessions with Emmerich's European class a couple weeks or more, like months ago. It was Poker Masters and Party Poker, where I also made a YouTube video about where I lost a lot of money and it didn't go well, and it drained on my confidence. And we
Yep.
also had sessions, and of course you always learn something new, but it also gave me a lot of confidence because because you start doubting. Poker is a game of incomplete information. You're like, am I doing this still right? And just having someone, hey, chill, you're doing it right, it's going well, your thought process is on point, and then it gives you the confidence, and you not start being too passive, too tight, doubting yourself, guessing yourself. And this really helps. And of course, still fixing leaks, you always learn something. It's not that I'm perfect by any means, and it's good to see others how they think about poker, and you learn something new and have new bet sizes with certain hands on certain boards, exploit certain tennis, because you can't study everything. So they study certain topics and they tell you, hey Ben, lately on these ace high boards I'm using these sizings because I think people are gonna respond different to GTO, so that's why I think we should be betting smaller or bigger. I was like, hey, oh wow, that makes sense. And I haven't been studying ace high boards, I've been studying something else. So you share your wisdom and you accelerate your learning curve, your progress.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And like you said, studying, I think the main benefit of studying is it gives you confidence, like that you're doing the right thing and you don't doubt yourself as much because you put in the work, you
Yeah,
know what's up, and like, you're sure of the steps that you're taking, because you've already looked at it and, studied it per se,
yeah,
and yeah, having friends to bounce ideas back and forth that you respect, it's important, like you said, because everybody knows different things and studies different things, and you can all do better together as a unit, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
But I'm lazy. I don't study jack shit nowadays, to be honest with you. But when I'm going to start playing hardcore, like when life starts again, I'll probably be studying more before going back. But we shall see. Maybe I don't feel like it. Who knows? That's my philosophy nowadays. You know,
Yeah.
if I don't feel like it, nah, pass.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, I think playing live without attacking the live players, but it's a common opinion that live is softer. So I think if you're a live player, you should put in volume. If you could clearly beat live and you can also beat online, you should put in the volume, discuss some key sports, but your focus should not be studying the game hardcore GTO frequencies because it's different games. Like you play different against every single opponent, right? You just the randomness is so high. You have very tight, very scared players, and then you have these, you know, young guns that just fire everything, being aggressive. They can't help themselves. They always have to click buttons. No GTO sim is gonna help you in those spots.
Yeah,
So
for sure. But of course, you need to know the baseline. You know, like
yeah,
what people generally think. What is the current meta? I think like the current meta is more important than GTO to a certain extent. You know, how are players thinking and what is the new cool strategy or or mindset or or how they view the game. You know, I think this changes quite often and like you see
yeah,
like for example, bet sizings change all the time.
yeah,
Like suddenly you see like suddenly people start over betting more. Like there's a new meta and what do they do it with and what are how do they construct it? And I think like being able to assess this quickly and accurately is what kind of sets you apart as a good player.
yeah,
Because being able to recognize these patterns in gameplay it sounds kind of exploitative. I don't know. Yeah, but it's all based off a GTO baseline strategy, right? This is how they deviate and they structure this new concepts or whatever it is. I don't know, but being able to identify it and put into practice is what separates the really good players from
yeah,
the okay players. Because I think GTO is important to know, but not know by heart. You know what I mean? You need to know how it works.
yeah,
For me, I understand why do people do certain things and what is the reasoning behind it. You extrapolate concepts and then you apply it practically using your mind and your brain and
mm,
your extra information that you have. So it's not a very hard and fast rule, and it's not a 1 + 1 = 2. There's a lot of unknown XYZ in between 1 + 1 + X + Y + Z that add up to the
yeah,
eventual decision making process, right? The XYZ is the unknowns which you add in yourself, right? But you need to know what the equation, how it works in the first place. For me, this is what GTO is, and
yeah,
how people think of the game. But I mean, I don't study Sims all the time. I don't run BioSolver 24/7. I do very minimal of that kind of stuff, to be honest. But I do pay attention. I do run some Sims, like I do check some hands. Um, when I'm in doubt, just to see what the solver is gonna say. But
yeah,
who knows? Maybe I trash into the solver anyway, and it's spitting out trash. But that's all I have right now, so I'm just gonna look at it and make a inform guess. Let's put it this. Yeah, so it's all a big question mark. And I think it's just
yeah.
more about information you have and then making the
So,
best of it.
so you're always trying to play exploitative and not okay. I'm gonna now just follow GTO and do GTO, and then whatever happens happens.
I mean, the question is, do I even know GTO? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good. Fair
You get
enough.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, if I reach this spot, I'm gonna ask myself, what would the solver do? And I'm like, I don't know the exact answer. I think the solver's gonna do this, and I think I agree, so I'm gonna do this. Again, you get what I mean? Or I think like the solver will
Yeah.
probably say that he's gonna do this, but I think this guy is so tight that he just never blasts, so I'm gonna fold. That kind
Yeah.
of thing. This is how I approach it. It sounds like a very wishy-washy way, but it seems to be working so far.
Yeah.
Results oriented for the win, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it seems to be working so far, but I don't know. Yeah, that's why I say like I don't know if I can teach because I have no proper structure or like a solid written down foundation or rules. I have no proper system for poker that I follow. Maybe it's all intrinsic and it's all what do you call it? It's all based on instinct, but
Yeah.
it just built up over time, Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I remember I watched one of the podcasts you did with I think it was European or is it Elmeric? I don't know. One about the
I had with
frequency.
Elmerix, European, Pets, Danny.
No, the one about where you're talking about frequency, splitting frequency and randomizing,
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you, like in terms of that,
I
the
guess it
variance
was
is.
with Pets. We talked a lot about GTO versus exploitative.
It wasn't this one. It was you're talking about whether you use a randomizer when you split your frequencies.
I never use a randomizer.
Exactly. That's what I agree with
Makes
because
you
there's a lot.
lazy.
That's one thing, and second thing is like sometimes you have a bit more additional information than what the solver has, right?
Yeah.
About certain players
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff. So you make a qualitative decision at that point in time. But whether this is the best way or not, who knows?
Yeah.
You get what I mean? It's more like a preference, I guess. And some people swear by the randomizer. A lot of the high stakes guys always randomize. They don't leave
Yeah.
anything to subjective, qualitative input. They
Yeah.
don't trust themselves.
I think even most high stakes regs are so far from GTO in many spots. So I don't know. I just don't think it makes sense to use a randomizer. You can just trust your gut. You know, there's always so many information that you can use to either call or raise or fold. Just look at the players at the table. Is it worth to make this break? Because when we are in a randomizing spot, it's basically marginal, and we leave it up to the randomness. That's why we randomize.
Yes.
If we would clearly know it's plusy, we would call. If we clearly know it's minus, we would fold. But just look at the table. Like very often, if you see, hey, there's actually a very, very soft spot at the table, fold. You know, there's no point because you're gonna find better spots in the future unless you play a cash game.
Yep, exactly. I agree with your philosophy. And I was saying, the thing is, the game nowadays is so complicated. It's come such a long way from when I started. I was having a chat with Danny, and it's just nowadays it's just so daunting for a new player to come in. If they come in with their eyes open, as in if they know how the game works, it just seems like such a monumental task to be able to learn everything in order to compete.
Yeah.
Back then, just do what you feel like when you feel like it, and no one's ever gonna second guess because that's just how the game was played back then.
Yeah.
You just buttons, and and that's that. It's accepted. I raise, I see bet. That's that. And why do you call? Because I looked at the guy and I thought, fuck this guy. I'm gonna call. You know what I mean? I looked into his eyes and I so read him. That's as good enough reason as any.
Yeah.
But that was fun. I found that really fun. That's part of the appeal of poker for me back then.
Yeah.
The freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and everybody's there to battle. But nowadays it's so technical and competitive, right? You are kind of forced to play by the rules of the game. Say when I say the rules, not you have two cards, you can raise a fold or whatever. That's not the rules. The rules as in like strategy rules. You need to operate within these confines of GTO, or you're gonna be a donkey. This
Yeah.
kind of perception, which is not fun, and it's not nice for a new player. And it's kind of sad for me to see it going in this direction. But the thing is, you have to change and adapt. Like we mentioned, the game is changing, times are changing. People are more sophisticated, they're more mature, they have more access to education. Raise your age, for example.
Yeah.
And you just have to get it with the times. There's no point in complaining. The game is changing regardless of what you think. So you just gotta move along with it. And then, but the thing is it was fun back then. It was more fun back then. Now it's a different kind of fun. It's more like a challenge kind of fun. Not the light-hearted punt around kind of fun. But yeah, it's a different game nowadays. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think I do not necessarily agree 100% with you. I think especially on lower stakes, if you start out, it's more confusing because you see all the content and you think you need to apply that and all the technical part. And that's what I'm trying to teach. I think on low stakes and even on mid stakes to a certain degree, if you just play a rock solid game, the way I was growing up with, playing straightforward, solid tight, you can still have insane win rates. Because I also, if I think about the reason why most students are coming to me is because they're too GTO brainwashed and they actually started losing money because they're overdoing it. They constantly bluff catch in spots where nobody's bluffing because of GTO. And before that, they had less clue of GTO and they played a rather very exploitative game. And from a common sense, they're like, yeah, but nobody's bluffing here. Why should I bluff catch? Then they start looking to sims. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. And then they start bluff catching and they started bluffing in spots where your opponents are never folding, right? They start to try to make your opponents fold trips on a flush board or straights on a paired board. And it's like, dude, nobody's going to do that. You don't need to bluff in these spots. And then they miss out on crucial bluffs in other spots where your opponent's ranges are capped. They barely have any good hands and you can go hard after them, especially in deep runs where people, especially recreations, are getting money scared. And they miss out on great bluffing opportunities. And they try to play this balanced game. But before that, they were doing it naturally because of the instincts, the way they were growing up with the game. And then they started losing a lot of money or having lower win rates. And they put in all the effort, all the work, and I need to brainwash them and need to make them clear. It's just there to serves you to understand poker. But on the tables, you play poker. You don't play GTO. And I think your goal or the system that you need to have in place is to learn poker from its fundamentals, to play your opponents, to play straightforward, and then make your adaptations. When you see someone that cannot let go of the hand, of course you're not gonna bluff them. That's like that hasn't changed until today. I think we make it more complicated than it is. Of course, if you get closer to high stakes, you need to know a few more GTO fundamentals, right? And it's okay to study with GTO, but it's just very important that you understand that a lot of the concepts don't apply. It's just for you to understand what's the baseline, as you said, a few variables in that very equation, but there's so many more variables missing that you need to consider in order to come to the result, or in order to come to the action that you want to apply in game. But so many fuck it up because they think they need to play GTO and they overcomplicate.
Yeah. Check raise the river 3% of the time, with your or range, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they go home and say, "Oh yeah, it's actually 5% a check raising hand." Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you're playing in a tournament. There's no point in making a 0.005 BB 50 big blinds check shove on the river. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you must know when to apply it and when not to apply it. Yeah. But what I realized also after you're sharing, right, is that you never started off as a fish. You're not the same as me. You really started off with the idea of how poker is.
No,
like,
I went broke 3 times.
But you just mentioned that like you aim to play tight, solid, and stuff like this in the beginning, right?
But at the beginning I was just playing based on my gut feeling.
Right.
Without any strategy, any ranges. My friends told me, hey, you should play after charts. And I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
the thing is, you even knew there were charts. Your friends are telling you, you have no idea, bro.
No, but I was not following them. I was not following them. And then after 2 years, when I blew off my $50 bankroll 3 or 4 times in a row, I was like, okay, I should probably listen to them. And then I started with charts.
I understand.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I guess the level of maturity in your community in Europe is much higher than us in Asia, because back then it's just us in a home game, looking at each other and trying to get live tells and all that kind of shit. And that was fun, that's what I mean. Like, the point is that you join poker with your eyes open as to how the game should be played, So your friends were already telling you that, there's actually ranges, it's about mathematics, that kind of thing. We none of that shit happened to us, man. We were just like, punting about for fun. And that was really fun because there's a complete freedom and no judgment. Complete freedom with no judgment, and which is very different as to how it is nowadays. Even as a recreational, people, there's kind of like a baseline competence that you need to have. You need to have like an idea of what pre-flop is, and why there are pre-flop ranges and all that stuff. Even as a newcomer, even though if you were to start with zero knowledge within 1 day of YouTube, you would have enough knowledge to realize that there's charts. But back then, none of this existed, and that's what made it really fun because it's kind of your own creativity and your own ability to solve the problem, the problem of winning money at poker, without external influence per se. But nowadays, the level is just so much higher, and you wouldn't even stand a chance. But I mean, it's still a challenge, Nowadays, like, Michael Adamo, he was saying, playing high stakes poker, right, at the highest level, like just say for one of these Triton series or something like this, is basically like taking a test for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week in a row. Every day your brain is just constantly fried because every decision you make is basically a test. What is the best course of action, and you're assessing all this information, processing all this data, coming to a conclusion, and it keeps going on non-stop, the whole day until, and if you bust today, you're playing tomorrow, and just keeps going on and on and on, By the end of the week, you need a holiday pretty much, because you just drain, and I agree with him for sure, especially when everybody's watching, and there's a and if you're stake, you have backers like me, there's a lot of consequence, for your actions. And you really need to play your best, Yeah, a lot on the line, but it's definitely fun though. Like,
yeah.
Actually, you started playing. Like I saw you playing on Sunday. You played a 10K, right? How is it for you? Like, how do you feel playing these fields?
I really much love them because they're smaller fields. There's more of ICM because you're gonna reach the bubble more often, and I feel just very comfortable with short stack ranges with ICM. It's going terrible over the last few months though. I'm running very cold on 5Ks, 10Ks. I'm running very good in 200s and 500s. Getting teased a lot though, like always close to the bubble or final 2 tables. I had some decent. I mean, I had the deep run in the 10K scoop main event. I finally tabled it. Um, I got third or fourth in the 5K scoop for close to 100K. So I equalized my downswing where I lost 250, 300K in spring. So I kind of won that back. So I'm also swapping with Pats, who had his 1.6 million cash in the on the GG poker on the 25K. So that also helped.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, just
How does the field compared to Stars? I mean, I know Stars never had such a big high stakes schedule, right? In terms like 5K, 10Ks, right? So now
yeah,
the thing is, naturally, it's like it has tons of them. Like every weekend, there's like a few, right? Or
yeah.
whatever is on the weekdays as well. I'm not sure, but how do you compare the fields between the two? And like how what's your experience playing on Stars back then? And like you can't compare like the Scoop 10K. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody's playing that. I mean,
yeah.
it's a wonderful field, but in terms of like the smaller events, like is the player pool the same, or do you feel like there's more recreationals on GG or Natural
Mm,
8?
it's hard to assess because at the beginning there was everyone could choose a screen name. Now they switched to real name games, and I was playing it for few months, and I was mainly playing Sundays, and so my sample size, I would say like I played 20, 30 games of, I don't know, 1Ks, and I haven't played a lot of 10Ks because, to be honest, it's a new platform. I want them seeing it's establishing themselves. Um, I feel like there's still a bit of the finding process, or yeah, finding themselves. Um, and then I'm also gonna start playing more high stakes there. So my sample size is not that high yet to say whether it's softer or tougher. I really can't say.
Do you like the real names or not?
I love it.
Yeah,
I
I love it.
I'm a big proponent of making it as real as possible, as making it hard as possible for bots, for cheaters, um, making it also. I love the fact that they're banning huts. That's the way I was growing up without huts. I was taking my notes. I was tracking everyone. I just like the grind of you putting in the hours of tracking everyone. Still having the ability to download your hand history, because I think it's a great tool to expose bots, because then you can recognize certain patterns, right? But without the hand histories, it's impossible. It makes it easier for bots and cheaters. So I think this is a necessity that, or is a requirement that every software should have. Because most of the time when bots or rings of bots got exposed, it was due to the work of the players. They realized, okay, something shady is going on with these players, so they downloaded all the hand histories, and then they analyzed their patterns, and then they saw like 10 players basically having the same stats.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, bots. I mean, nowadays the online landscape is so dangerous. I don't know. I'm a bit afraid. Like the things when you're playing a 10K with live real names, it's not
Yeah,
so bad.
yeah,
But there's still a risk. Like I have always this concern at the back of my mind. Like how many of these guys have live assist software? Who knows?
yeah,
When big on the line, right? It's very worthwhile to invest in a developer or programmer to come up with some kind of
yeah,
proprietary live solver or something along those lines. And it's always at the back of my mind. But
yeah,
sometimes I just feel like things I still play. It's whatever.
yeah,
That's why I think life is for me probably the way to go. But yeah, it's still fun.
yeah,
Yeah, it's good to see you mixing it in the 10Ks. Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
I like to see that there are more high stakes games going. It shouldn't be an overkill, because at the end of the day, if every site is firing or offering so many games, it's kind of. I have to admit though that I lost a little bit the motivation to grind hard. Like 4 years ago, winning a scoop title was just the thing. You feel
yeah.
like you're at the big pinnacle of your poker career. Today,
Yes,
it's a bit. You have online EPTs or WPTs, Ws. It lost its prestige.
I
Just
agree with you
there's
100%.
so many
Yeah,
tournaments that winning it is not so spectacular anymore.
yeah, it's not so impactful. To
Yeah,
be honest with you, right? So like for me personally, right? Like even now as the WSOP is going on, right?
yeah,
It's the WSOP. It's
yeah,
the biggest live event or a
yeah,
series of the year, right? And I don't even feel like it's that special
yeah,
to me, even though it is special and you can win a bracelet. It's just just that there's so much action.
Yeah.
There's so many events,
Yeah.
and you can call it whatever you want, and it's just another event. You know,
Yeah.
at the core. You know, so it's exactly like what you're saying. You know, like Scoop is just another event. There's just so many series going on, but the thing is, I guess you get a bracelet. You know, I don't have one yet, so that would be
Yeah.
interesting. And they have this very cool looking mouse trophy, that
Mm.
gold mouse trophy. I don't know who gets it. Probably like the player of the series. I don't think I can win because I'm not playing. But
Yeah.
yeah, that one looks very cool. I think you would like that for sure as an online player. You know, all online guys, this trophy of the golden mouse. You know, that's sick.
Yeah, for sure, but also player of the series. I find this the biggest bullshit ever, because you can be the player of the series and you can be down. You don't know how many bullets you fired. You know, you can grind the entire schedule. You have a few in the money caches, a final table appearance. You bricked everything else, or you cashed in the smaller events. You got racked up your points. You bricked all the high stakes tournaments. You could be on the first place with like a 3% ROI, but you got all the points, especially in the mixed games. And then you have someone that's on 30th, had insane profits, was playing only few tournaments, crushed the series with 100% ROI. It's just that's not the metric, you know.
Yeah, and let's not start talking about Hand Mob. You know.
Yeah, that's
Same concept.
that's the next thing. And you know, it's always so cringy when you have these live tape replays and like, yeah, and this is player ABC from country XYZ with 10 million in cashes, woo! And then it creates this false picture of every poker player is rich. And I know so many that also in a high stakes environment get staked, close to broke, but they have 5 million in cashes. You know, it just
It's tougher than it seems, man. Like you know, people always think that Hand Mob is the true picture, but it's not even close.
Yeah.
You know, like Mob or
Yeah.
Pocket Five or whatever it is. You know, Pocket Table ratings. I don't know.
I see
Shark
it in
Scope.
I see it in the Twitch chat every day or every single time I'm streaming. Ben, you have tagged him as green, like he has these insane cashes, insane winnings. Even though I have different greens, so if I have a rag colored as green, it's not necessarily a fish, you know. And then
Yeah.
I use it also for recreationals, and I even have some rags because I heard them. Apparently I heard their egos. They messaged me like, "Why am I green? Why?" It's like, dude, what the fuck do you care what I have you as a color? You don't know what it stands for, you know?
Yeah,
So
I agree. Like this is a very I don't know. Why should you care? Does it matter? You know?
yeah,
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm
But
pretty
it's
sure
quite-
that there are also players out there, they love playing against me because I have a certain style that probably fits them very well, and I have a lot of leagues because they've studied spots that I'm not so familiar with. Do I care about it? No, of course I'm going to be losing against certain players. But that's how it is.
Yep.
But I win against the majority, and that's all I care about.
Yeah. True. Yeah. I don't know. If I'm bad, I'm bad. You know, it's just a fact. You know, nothing to be embarrassed about.
No,
You know? Yeah.
that's totally
Yeah.
cool. And we're speaking about what we're speaking. I just lost my point. I wanted to.
Online stakes and the bots, and like you know, you started playing the 10Ks, and yeah.
No, I mean in general about the online series. I mean then probably after then WCOOP, and probably before WCOOP you might have another high roller series on PokerStars, and then you might have another KO series on Party Poker. It's just 4 years ago you had Scoop and WCOOP, and that's where you scheduled your time. It's like this is the most important, especially for an online grinder, time of the year. Now it's like, all right, might skip WCOOP. Then there's gonna be another Christmas high roller series, and it's like,
Yeah, I 100% agree, man. Like I used to, I mean, I fly overseas when I want to play stars. I fly to like Thailand or somewhere,
Yeah.
and I book a Airbnb and I grind because you need to be overseas to play, right?
yeah,
So yeah, like back then it's like WCOOP, Scoop. Okay, you know that these events are coming up and you want to play, you can make a plan and you go. And now it's like every weekend there's an event. You know, like shit, you can't be flying around every weekend to play online. You know, it doesn't make that much sense anymore. You know.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess just the landscape is changing. You know.
yeah, for sure.
There's a demand for sure, you know, especially
Yeah.
during this Corona COVID time, right? People are stuck at home with nothing to do, so you know, good
Yeah.
times for online poker. Huh?
So for everyone who's watching, take your time, take it easy. There's enough opportunities. You don't need to chase after every term. If you don't feel well, if you need some time off, you need some rest, especially in the downswing. People always ask me, "Hey Ben, I am a downswing. Should I take a break? I was like, yes, of course, take a break. That's totally all right. Do you have any other tips when you were in a downswing, or when you see people in a downswing, what might help them to get through the downswing?
I think you really need to realize that it's going to happen. Yeah, it's not a question of if it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go through some kind of downswing, and you need to prepare yourself for it. So whenever your things are going well, right? I keep telling myself, okay, get ready, because the downswing is gonna come.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose some of that money back. Hopefully you don't lose it all and more. But you need to be really mentally prepared for it, because if it's just a part of your expectation when it happens, it's not surprising. And you don't feel that affected, in my opinion, especially for me. Because I keep telling myself that this game doesn't work this way. You're not gonna win all the time. You're definitely gonna be losing a fair portion, and if you realize that and accept that, it's not gonna be too bad. Besides that, like you mentioned, taking a break is very important. I feel that if you're ever doing something and it feels like you're burning out, or like you're suffering, or you don't want to do it, then you should definitely take a step back
Yeah.
and take a break and not do it, because the results are just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Your A game, you're gonna play your B game, then your C game, D game, and then next thing you know, you're broke.
Yeah.
Because you're just spiraling downwards. You need to stop. Like in the financial markets, they have this stop loss, or yeah, that kind of thing, or like limit down. If a stock gets sold too much, they halt trading on this stock, just to make sure people don't go too crazy, that kind of thing, and resume some other time. And you need to apply this kind of concepts to your life and your poker career as well, because we are only human, and we have emotions, and we are not robots, and we cannot program everything directly into us. So
Yeah.
you need to be flexible,
Yeah.
and you need to take care of your mind, and realize that it's okay to feel burnt out. It's okay to feel down. To be mentally affected by downswing is fine.
Yeah.
Just what you do next is the question. Because you cannot control all these things. You can't control a downswing. You can't control how you feel, but how you handle the situation is what you can control.
Yeah.
So instead of continuing and spiraling downwards, take a break. Rest, rejuvenate, reassess your life. Maybe poker is not for you. Maybe it's not something that you enjoy. It's more stress than satisfaction. So
Yeah.
maybe explore other avenues. It's not
Yeah.
the only way. It's quite a nice way if you can do it and it suits you, but everybody's different, right? And you must
Yeah.
accept that as well. Yeah, that's what I think, I guess.
Great, man. Thank you for sharing that. Michael, thank you for taking the time. Guys, we're going to do a second part where Michael and I are going to review a hand that I played in the 10K against against Ole Shemian. I guess you have played against him.
Yeah, I made some massive punts against him in I think it was a Scoop Turbo event or something. I came second, I think, and I was like playing Triton in Montenegro, and then after the live events ended, I just jumped into one of these Scoop Turbo events, right? And I actually made the final table, and then I just committed insane ICM suicide. Insane. It was like 9-handed turbo event. Everybody has like 10 big blinds or sub 10 big blinds. I have like 20 something big blinds. And then Ole has like 20 something big blinds, like one big blind less than me. And he shoves the button
Yeah.
and snap with eights on the small blind or something like this. He shoves the cutoff or button, and I just snapped it off with eights without a second thought in my mind, because I'm like, oh, button cutoff, 20 plus blinds, pocket eights, easy call,
Yeah.
Then I realized that everybody has like fucking 5 big blinds. And we're on the final table with 70K for first or something. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing. But yeah, oh well.
I guess you lost.
I won actually.
Oh.
And Ole was like, what the fuck? This guy. Ole had ace king, It's like, oh, this fish. Yeah.
Happens to the best.
Yeah, I wasn't in the most focused frame of mind, let's put it this way, after playing live the whole day. But I mean, like I was playing like 100K or whatever it was, and then I'm playing a 1K turbo. I'm like, okay, K turbo, let's go. Haven't reset my mindset yet. At the time.
Yeah. Did
Okay,
you win it?
Sure. No, I came second against some other guy, and then because I was really tired and we were quite short, and then the guy was like, let's make a deal, and I was like, nah, man, I want to gamble. Let's gamble, So then we start playing heads up, right? And then it goes back and forth, up and down, and it goes on for 40 minutes, and like I'm like, shit, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. I'm so tired. And then we went back to even. Then I was like, bro, you want to make a deal? And then he's like, no. I was like, yeah, okay, fine, sure. And then yeah, we won. Yeah, it took much longer than I thought.
Unlucky. Great.
So
once again, I think also from the entire research community who was watching, thank you so much for taking the time. That was some very valuable piece of advice we were sharing here. I'm pretty sure it's gonna help a lot of people. We're gonna do a part 2. We're gonna go over a hand, and so stay tuned, everyone.